got my goggles on, my socks are off. Flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Pitching to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remotes a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 75. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. Move it low, we fly that flow. Grab that gap, no time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll, funk and control. Bounce that wall, we fly it all. We fly it all. Tiny whoop, love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop, love, gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that splitter over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Although,
Hey
man,
friends,
this is pretty fun.
my name's Aaron Ciotti. You're listening to me talking when I was flying that battery. Come on, Jesus, pause. Welcome to first Monday of March, so it's time to do some giveaways. At around 11 o'clock, we're going to do 4 giveaways. 3 for patrons and 2 for everybody else. If you want to get in on those 3 Patreon giveaways, go to CiottiFPV.com and join my Patreon at the $5 or higher tiers. If you're at the $3 tier, spend an extra $2 a month, and you'll get entered to win. At some point, you'll win $50-ish worth of Tinywhoop stuff, and the extra $2 will be well worth it. Cool. $5 a month is going to enter you into the Tinywhoop and Toothpick giveaways. $10 a month, 3-inch micro brushless giveaways. $15 a month, 5-inch giveaways. For $30 a month, $1 a day, you're entered into all 3 of those. The 4th giveaway that we're going to do is open to anybody. You have to be in the chat. You don't have to be here for those. You're just automatically entered. The 4th giveaway is open to anybody. It's $5 a ticket. You got to be here You guys know how it goes. Around 11 o'clock is when we're going to get that going. You were just watching this little monster blast around. This is what we were working on Monday, on Sunday, yesterday. This is basically a hand-built Air75 V2 with a motor swap. This is the Air75 V2 canopy, camera, AIO. It's not the frame. This is the newbie drone Lite AF Cockroach 75 frame. Very, very similar to the Air V2 Lite frame though. And then different motors. These are the GetBar C 1002 25,000s mega motors on the HQ Ultralight 1.6 inch biblades. I flew 3 batteries on this today, and what it made me realize is how much of it, just like on yesterday's live stream, actually. Wait, no, not on yesterday's live stream. I had the same. We've realized this a couple times on stream, but it hit me like a ton of bricks twice today. I flew 6 batteries on 65 millimeter rigs while I was waiting for the batteries for this to charge. And so I flew 2 batteries on this build with the VCI motors, which is basically a Mobula6 V1 AIO direct soldered VCI O7 O2 30,000s, old school Mobula6 canopy, and Runcam Nano 3, super lightweight little antenna, and HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 props on the Cockroach V3 frame. And so I flew 2 batteries on this, and then I flew 2 batteries each on Beta FPV rigs with frames that have the real slim little ducts on them. Actually, these are both the same frame. These are both Air65 V2, regular Air65 V2, not the Champion Edition. I'm actually going to be moving this guy over to the Air65 V2 Champion Edition frame to see how that goes. Not tonight, but just in general, we're going to do that. And so, yeah, I flew 4 more batteries, 2 and 2, on these frames with these tiny little ducts. And it just smacked me in the face what a difference the thickness of the ducts makes outside. Just like inside flying around, you know, I've realized this a couple times. And so... And then I flew this outside with the skinny little ducts, and it's slipping and sliding all over the place, and it's just screaming around. And it made me realize the Mobula7 V3 frame with 2S, even though 2S gives us more power and is more efficient, boy, is it tough to fight against this thick of a prop guard here. And so I got to do a comparison. I got to do a comparison of 1S75 with, we got 2 frames available to us now with these itty bitty little prop guards on them, right? We've got the Lite AF Cockroach 75, and we've got the Air 75 V2. I'm dying to do a test now of 2S on the Mobula7 V3 versus 1S on these frames with this tiny little thing. This felt outrageously good on the little 480 mAh batteries. I'm not quite, I guess I'm getting right on 2 minutes of runtime with those batteries. It's hard to tell the runtime because those 1S batteries sag so bad when you're hammering them that, like, you think the battery is done at like a minute and a half because you're getting low battery warnings. You come back in, you hover it, and the battery recovers to like 3.6, and then it's like, oh shit, and then you go fly it around a bunch more. 2S doesn't do that, right? And so, yeah, I was pretty blown away at how much fun I was having today with this. You just saw the second and third batteries at the end of the live stream. I'll play the first battery, and I might even do a little edit with those 3 batteries, just like that super quick little edit that I did the other day. Just throw those 3 in there. I talked all through them, include the audio, and yeah, just throw it up there. So yeah, that was cool, man. I'm really impressed with this. With the 2 notch filters that we added on the stream yesterday, it flies great. I don't notice any additional latency. There's no nonsense. It's not trying to fly away on its own. Yeah, this frame has some pretty severe flex to it. That without those notch filters is pretty nasty, but with those notch filters, it's just kind of good to go. Like, is there more latency from them? Absolutely. But like, I feel like I might be able to back off the dynamic. I feel like I might be able to do some things to remove or at least reduce the other filtering and let the notch filters do the majority of the work. And that'll offset the extra latency that we're getting from those notch filters. And so, yeah, I'm gonna be kind of messing around with this. This is gonna be a cool little test bed for me continuing to learn black box. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm very glad that that Brandon's Baked Beans has been so patient with me over the years, teaching me black box tuning when I would ask him what the hell was going on with unruly rigs, because it's been that teaching that he's given me that allowed me to kind of dive into black box and know what the hell was going on. And I've tried my best to now impart that to all of you and show you as basically as I can how to set black box up in Betaflight, how to take a good log, how to pull the log into the computer, how to look at the part of the log that really targets these bad resonances. I don't know if I'm ever gonna really dive into like PID tuning through black box, because I feel I've avoided PID tuning through black box forever, because I think it makes you want to get the tune too aggressive. I still feel that way. I still feel like tuning with the sliders in the OSD is maybe the way to go. Like, you push your D gain slider a little bit farther than the P and I gain slider, and then you move those 2 guys up until the rig tells you they're too far, and then you back them off a solid chunk. I feel like that tuning method is going to get you really close to the proper PID tune, but it's going to give you enough leeway to not be constantly chasing the tune. I still feel like PID tuning with black box, it's gonna encourage you to spend more time tuning than flying, and it's gonna, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Using black box to fix issues, though, oh my god, man! Like the issues with this frame and the Air V275 frame, I wouldn't have been able to get them flying without black box. Just straight up, there would have been no way for me to figure out those 2 vibrations. I would have chased my tail a little bit, trying to fix the mechanical system, right? Changing propellers, changing motors, looking for like wires that are in there vibrating around. And I would have gotten absolutely nowhere, right? Because the problem is the frame. We ran the exact same motors and propellers and electronics and the same everything on 3 different frames yesterday, and the black box logs were completely different. The motors were spinning the same direction. Everything was exactly the same. The frames were the only thing that changed. And it was super obvious that, the frames were doing this. Could I have messed around with the dynamic filtering and the D-term filtering to make the situation a little bit better? Probably. But moving those around, I feel like we would have had to add so much filtering and so much latency to hit those massive frame resonances that we were seeing, that we would have had something that doesn't fly really good, right? Versus putting these really narrow, super targeted notch filters exactly where these two different frames are just wobbling around, right? So hopefully I broke that down in as simple of a way as possible, because it was, incredibly obvious what was going on, right? Like, I hope everybody was we were pretty deep in the weeds yesterday. I hope everybody was able to kind of stay with me, and you learned a good chunk, because yeah, I mean, now that we're getting these like super lightweight frames, if we pair those with a really aggressive set of motors and propellers, right? Motors with really good response time and propellers that are really lightweight, we have we're introducing the possibility of a frame resonance being amplified by the mechanical system, right? Like I said yesterday, if we went to a much less powerful motor, we probably wouldn't have had an issue, because the motors would not have had the response time to quickly enough wobble this thing back and forth and feed this frame into its own resonance, right? This is where PID tuning becomes very difficult, when you have a really powerful mechanical system, a really powerful set of motors and props. We've seen this in all parts of FPV. So yeah, super cool stuff, man. Like I said, I was blown away by how well this flies. I'm really interested in how it's going to crash on this Lite AF frame. I'm tempted to just start hammering on it, but I don't know. We'll see. I think what I'm going to do is head-to-head these two guys. This Mobula7 V3 frame is just absurdly durable. Like, I can't imagine that either one of these 1S frames are going to be as durable as this. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with how thick these ducts are, right? Like, just look, this just looks beefy, right? Like, this looks like it's going to take 1,000 crashes. Does this little shit look like it's going to take right? Maybe it will, but I doubt it. So I don't know. This 2S might just be the beast, and it just is what it is. We got to have these big thick ducts to have a ton of durability. But boy, this blew me away. So I'm gonna be flying this more, and we'll see, man. 1S 1.6 inch prop is much more realistic now with these two frames. What I really wish is that there was a 2S frame like this Mobula7 V3, but with the thinner ducts. That would be, I mean, that would blow this thing away. This is a funny scenario. We talked about this yesterday, right? Like, this frame and the Air V2 frame makes this 1S 1.6 inch setup really, really good. This frame here with the thick ducts makes this really good 2S frame less good outside. And so it's another situation where, like, because of part availability, there's a chance that 1S might actually be a little bit better. And that's kind of insane, but we run into that in FPV all the time, right? For the longest time, when I first got started a literal decade ago, micros were a nightmare because we didn't have good motors, we didn't have balanced propellers, and then as we got better gear, micros became a lot better. There were a couple of years, early days in FPV for me, where I couldn't get a micro to fly good enough for me to, like, continue learning. And I was like, well, if I want to get better as a pilot, I've got to build a 5-inch rig. These micros don't make enough power. They don't have enough weight. They don't crash good enough. I've got to build a 5-inch rig so that I've got something that can have these better flight dynamics so that I can continue to learn as a pilot. Nowadays, it's not like that, right? You can build a 3-inch rig that has all the power in the world, super durable, which is really, really cool, but whoops are lagging behind a little bit. And so, yeah, kind of wild that we'll get into scenarios where, like, the part selection is the roadblock to having something that performs the way that we want it to. These 2S builds they have such a massive advantage. Double the voltage is going to give us way more efficiency, way more motor options, way more power, but we're limited on frames. And, you know, we'll see. Really interesting comparison for me, being, you know, completely insane, of like awesome frame for outdoor flying, but not as good of a powertrain versus a frame that would be better suited for indoors, right? These big, tall ducks are going to be really slow indoors, but way too much power and too much weight for indoors. I mean, this would be an absolute beast in like a warehouse, yo. Like an indoor smaller space, this thing is going to be an animal. But flying it up and down the street, this frame is a brick. And so, yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm excited to compare these two. I was shocked at how good this was today. So that's some stuff that's kind of coming up. That's going to be pretty slick. I need to get the antenna on that last battery. The antenna fell off of this guy. I got to put it back on there, and E6000 down. What is this? Oh, that's the bleed eye camera. In the chat, Jimmy the Cow was first. Jeremy Flies FPV. Doc Holiday. Giddy Butts. Level Up. Uriel. Capital C. Jimmy Carr. FizzPV. Uke. E-Weezy. Whoop Fox. Sear FPV. McMucus. Jimmy the Cow again. Hendrix Freakazoid. Matthew Wegner. If you want the gangly, read your name. Get in here early. Say hey. Or just ask me a good question, but type CiottiFPV in your message so that it lights up an orange for me. Jimmy the Cow says CiottiFPV moo! Uriel says, about the collective, my girlfriend has been... I'm not going to read the rest of that. Jamie Flies FPV says, oh, hey, friends, and CiottiFPV, what's up? Fly FPV says, are you coming to Slosh Drone Derby April 3rd to 5th in Birmingham, Alabama? I am. I'm coming on the Saturday. I'm going to get up as early as I can, drive up on Saturday, hang all day, and then buzz home. April is a ridiculous month for me, so I can't... I can't go on the 3rd or the 5th because I gotta be streaming, and I'm gonna be like really busy. April is a month with a vacation and the first Criterium Cup, and so April is gonna be crunch time for me getting the O4 fleet like tested, totally durable, putting 100 batteries through it to make sure that there's no bullshit when I'm flying it around athletes. And so, yeah, I'll be there on the 4th. Maybe next year, if I don't also have a vacation in April, I can come for more than just that one day. But, yeah, I'm excited, man. You guys should, if you're anywhere near Alabama, you should come to Slosh Drone Derby. The location is absurd. It's a concrete factory? It's a big factory. Ridiculous stuff. Uke says, I've really enjoyed the Air65 and 75 V2 frames so far. Very cool. What else we got going on here? YouTube just did the thing. Yafu says, I haven't flown my 65mm whoops in a while, and when I flew them today, it felt like they were falling super fast, like 1.5x gravity, no matter the orientation. Any tips to make it floatier? Less weight, bigger props. The 1.4-inch builds give me a significant amount of extra float on... matter of fact, I've got some batteries that I'm going to get charged here. We will fly one of them tonight, and I'll maybe show you the difference. Maybe you'll be able to see the difference is what I meant to say. The deal is that you lose some cruising speed, though. But that's normal. Like, with bigger props and or lighter weight, you're going to lose cruising speed, but you're going to gain a slowness when coming down. And so, yeah, let's fly one of those today. A few of our 6 batteries will be on one of these 1.4-inch setups. So Basically, this is the Meteor 65 Pro frame. It requires you to run a cut down AIO. What the hell AIO is this? Is this this is an Air65 AIO, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I think this is a Matrix. I think this is an Air65 Matrix AIO. Sure would be nice if... Oh, there it is. Beta FPV. Air G4 5-in-1 version 1.0. I think this is a Matrix AIO. But regardless, these Meteor 65 Pro frames swing a 1.4-inch prop, but they require you to run a non-square AIO. It's got to be an AIO that's cut down in between the grommets. And if you set this up with 0702 30-ish thousand kV motors, you don't want to go with the super high kV motors because you're spinning a bigger prop. But you don't want to go with a super low kV motor because then you won't have the power. And if you keep this build light, it's really, really fun. The 1.4-inch the 1.4-inch propellers max out the 0702 motors. And you'll definitely notice less response time on this setup versus the 1.2-inch prop setups. But the response time is just barely good enough, and you can push the PIDs pretty far to kind of make up for it. And you end up with something that's really, really fun. Like, you can really feel the difference between this and the 1.2-inch setups. I don't fly these a lot because that delay, that slower response time, it makes it difficult down here in the basement because it's just like there's just stuff everywhere, and it's just like, you know, like left, right, up. It's the 1.2-inch rigs are better for this cluttered basement with all these gates and all this stuff going on. If I were to fly upstairs in the living room a lot, this would be super fun because of that float and because of that kind of slowness. And so, yeah, these are very fun. Maybe this is what you want if you can stomach the little bit less response time from it. Which motors are these? These are the Beta FPV 702 27,000 kV motors. So it's Beta FPV 27,000, which is going to be similar to like Happy Model 32,000 or so. The other one of these that I have is on the 32,000 Weebleed Screamers with the 1.5mm motor shafts, which is really fun. These are the Gemfan 35mm S bi-blades. That other build is on tri-blades. You can really feel the lack of response time on that one. This one, it's not as drastic, but it's definitely there, even compared to 1.2-inch tri-blades. So that's maybe something that you could try. You know, the frame ain't going to cost you much. Hopefully you've got an AIO that's cut down in the corners, right? And just throw it into the different frames, snag a couple of sets of props, and away you go. Fly High says, I'm about to reorder Gemfan props. Any requests for sizes? I don't carry CiottiFPV or anyone. Also, feel free to request HQ. Also, I carry both. For HQ, you want 1.2 by 0. Well, yeah, you might as well just do the 1.2 by 1.0 by 3s. HQ has 3 really good ultralight Tinywhoop propellers. 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. Now the new one is 1.2 by 1.0 by 3. And the first one they ever made was 1.2 by 1.1 by 3. It's kind of silly at this point to carry the 1.1 and the 0.9, so just carry that one in the middle. 1.2 by 1.0 by 3. It's the best of both worlds. It's an awesome propeller. And then also their bi-blades. They have an ultralight bi-blade, which is a 1.2 by 1.2 by 2. Those are the two best props in tiny whooping right now. The Gemfan prop that's almost as good but not quite is the brand new one, the 1207. The hardcore racers like that propeller. It's a lot more fragile than the HQ props, which are already kind of fragile. So yeah, but for a Tinywhoop Gemfan prop, that's the really popular one right now, the 1207. And then what else? What else? The best 2 and 2.5 inch props that I've found at the moment are actually from Gemfan. It's the Gemfan 2023 2023, the old school one with the T-mount holes, and then the Gemfan 2023S is the new school one without prop mount holes. Those are 2 amazing 2-inch props. And then on the 2.5 inch side, these are the 2512 2512. These are the best 2.5 inch props that I've found in recent kind of testing. For something with more pitch, Gemfan also has the 2540 2540, which is really good. Heavier and more pitchy, so on like a bigger, more grunty motor, they're awesome. Yeah, those are some of my favorites at the moment. The really nice, the best 3-inch. We do not have a really good 3-inch prop right now from anyone, but the best that we've got is from Gemfan is the 3052. Yeah, the Gemfan 3052 is one of the best 3-inch props that's available right now. The other one is the... Hold on, let me make sure it's actually 3052. Yep, 3052. Dude, if you want to really set yourself apart, there's a couple 2.5 inch props that nobody else sells in the US that I've been able to find. What are those Gemfan 2.5 inch props that nobody has, chat? Somebody in chat knows. Shit sticks. I haven't been able to find. I've been meaning to look for them. Where did somebody left a comment recently? Hold on. Ooh, I know where it is. So if I go to my own channel, somebody left an awesome comment. I'd heard about these propellers, but I was so glad that this person left this comment in the Pro Turtle 2.5 inch, because now I can just grab it. I think this is it. It's talking. Nope, that's not it. Was it Crom? It might have been Crom. Nope, it wasn't Crom. Who the hell was it? It's a big comment. Here it is. Chris B 5481. Thank you so much if you're watching this. Talking about the 1.5mm versus 2mm shafts. Here we go. New 2.2. We don't want 2.2 inch props. That's super annoying. Here we go. HQ has 2.5 by 1.9 by 3 and 2.5 by 2.1 by 3 propellers that nobody has. And I've heard from a couple people that they're really good. And I haven't been able to find them. I think you have to get them from AliExpress or somewhere else insane. Was there one more? Well, there you go. There's like 5 or 6 different propellers that that'll hook you up. Gemfan 2520s. What are those? Yeah, I think that was it. There was somebody else somewhere that was talking about it. I'm pretty sure it was those, though. I'm pretty sure it was... oh, here it is. Cinabana. Is it the same one? Yeah, it's the two. Here it is. It's RT 2.5 by 2.1 by 3. But that's the same thing. It was that RT that was throwing me. Just now I was like, there's another prop that has a weird couple of letters in front of it, but it's the same thing that Chris B called out down here. 2.2 2.5 by 2.1. Yeah, there it is. Chris didn't put the RT in there. So yeah, dude, if you carry those props, a bunch of us nerds from this live stream will be all over them because you can't get them anywhere. You'll be I think you'll be the only one in the U.S. that has those. And a lot of these propellers that I've been testing are like old. These, both of these propellers on this 2-inch and 2.5-inch build, these are like 5-year-old propellers, and they're the best that I've been able to find in a whole bunch of testing over the last couple of months, which is just ridiculous. The 3-inch and 2.5-inch world has not gotten any real love in the propeller department. So yeah, very cool. Uriel says, I'm looking for an old factory to buy, but that would be the same like flying through the street also. All right. Fly High says, do you want to stream from Sloss? So I have tried to stream remotely on a bunch of occasions, as has Joshua, and we've actually talked about it at length. It sucks a bag of dicks. It like, you have to have a really fast internet, really fast, really solid internet connection. And then, like, you kind of have to have your same gear setup that you've done 50 streams back to back on and, like, perfectly dialed in. So I do not stream remotely. It's just an absolute nightmare. Yeah, I've tried it a bunch. It's always a disaster. And so, yeah, I not going there. Been there, done that. It sucks. Nyafu says one of them is already 35 millimeters and they're 15.7 grams and 16.4 grams respectively. Cockroach wide ducts too. Wow, yeah, they're really light. You need more power. More power gives you more upwards throw. And then that'll sort of give you more float in a way. Whoops do fly different. You know, they're meant to fly in tiny little spaces, so they are always going to fly a little bit different. Strager says, Yo, Ciotti, do you think it's worth it to buy 6S batteries for 2550 kV 4S 5-inch build and motor limit? No. 6S batteries are really hard on micros. The micro lightweight ESCs catch on fire pretty quickly under 6S abuse. So yeah, 4S is plenty. 6S on a micro is the same as 8S on a 5-inch rig. It's super hype train. People that don't know much say that it's better. People that actually know what they're talking about say that it's completely unnecessary. It's the exact same situation. So yeah, don't get on the hype train and waste a bunch of money. Yeah. Abdul Malik says, I have a stock Mobula7 O4. Can I use the AIO to build an open prop 2.5-inch drone using the baby turtle frame? Mobula7 O4. What's the AIO in that? Mobula7 O4. I have that here somewhere. Mobula7 O4. It's my 2-inch build. It's this guy, right? Because it's on XT60. Huzzah! Yeah. So that AIO has 12 amp FETs. So yeah, absolutely you can do that. It's going to be a little bit annoying because the motor plugs are pointing straight down. So you're going to have to either remove those motor plugs and put 90-degree angle motor plugs in, or maybe there's pads big enough to solder to. It's hard to see because this is an HD build. It doesn't look like there's direct solder pads for the motors. So when you pull the plugs off, there's a chance that the pads that are under there are big enough for you to solder to. There's a chance that they're not. I can kind of see those pads on the top of the AIO, and they don't look that small. So yeah, you might be totally fine. It looks like you're not going to be able to go to a 90-degree motor plug because they've got these plugs like sort of in the middle of the board. So you are going to be direct soldering. You're going to have to remove the... Either you're going to have to lift the AIO up quite a bit off the bottom plate so that there's room for the plugs. And like what sucks about doing that is now you're... I did that. The first, if you want to look at that situation, the very first open prop 2-inch build that I did here on the channel probably 2 months ago, I did exactly that. And I was able to do it, but it sucked. The motor plugs were pointed right at the frame, so you had to like really lift the AIO up on like 5 or 6 millimeter risers. And then the USB port was so high into the carbon at that point that it was really difficult to plug a USB port in to get it hooked up to Betaflight. So like, it's really not ideal. Realistically, you're gonna have to remove the motor plugs and then direct solder to whatever the pads are underneath there. They don't look like they're super small, so I have a feeling you'll be okay. But yeah, other than that, you'll be totally fine. 12 amp FETs are plenty for a 2.5-inch setup. Yeah, you'll be all right. If you do it, go to CiottiFPV.com, join my Discord if you're not already on there, and post pictures of it when you're done. We all want to see it. Uriel says, you need wide view for March. I go look for other address to order. Whenever. No hurries, brother. Oh, look at it. Oh, wait. Oh, Fly is, chat, if there's any other propellers, that you think are worthy of, Fly High carrying. Like, look, who's got the secret propellers that nobody... I know 1 or 2 of you have a propeller, know of a propeller that's really good, that is not in stock or not sold in the US. Fly High's asking for prop suggestions. Let's, this is our chance. We talk about this a good amount. Like, there'll be one website that's stateside that has like this one really unique propeller that's actually really good. There's actually a 7-inch propeller like that. There's a cinematic 7-inch propeller that one of these weird little websites sells and that nobody else sells. And it's a really good 7-inch prop. It's like a Cine 7, I think it's called, from either GemFan or HQ. And like nobody has it. And if you want to get it, you have to do an order from some whack. I thought I had a tab opened with it. But yeah, we're in that situation. So let Fly High know real quick, and maybe he'll get a few sets, and away you go. T-Motor Cinematic F30, is that it? No, that's not it. That's a stack. Yeah, I forget what that magical 7-inch propeller is that's really good and nobody carries. I might be able to find it real quick. Hold on. Let me see. How do I search? 7-inch prop. Let me see super quick. Let me see real quick. Is there not a way of... What's that magic 7-inch Cine prop again that nobody sells? All right. Let's see if Brad gets back to me. So yeah, chat, if there's any props like that that you can only get from, fucking Jabipsville, let Fly High know, and maybe he'll snag... I don't know what the minimum is. Minimum's probably like 100. So hopefully it's not a super, not used propeller. But we'll leave that up to him to decide. Fly High also says, I'll ask Gem Fan. They love to send me props. Thank you, CiottiFPV. You're certainly welcome. If you're talking to Gem Fan, tell them that... Oh, wait, no. Actually, HQ. If you're talking to HQ... We are all desperate for 1.2-inch propellers with 1.5 millimeter holes in the middle. There are a whole bunch of 07, 02 motors, the motors that we run on these little bastards, with 1.5 millimeter motor shafts, which make the motors indestructible. We kill these motors all the time. but we don't have any propellers. GemFan makes 2 different props. Neither one of them are all that great. If we could get some HQ ultralight props, the HQ ultralight 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 bi-blades and the 1.2 by 1.0 by 3 set up for a 1.5mm motor shaft, we would lose our minds. There are so many people waiting for that, and if like you were the one to sell those, fair warning, I know that Weebleed has been banging on them to make those props as well. If they start making them, Weebleed will probably start selling them as well. But yeah, we are all dying for those propellers. So if you're talking HQ and you don't mind, just hit them with that, because we're desperate for those props, and it'll make a huge difference on these little rigs. It'll make them so much more durable. My God. Uriel says, the props from Ali, remember them for the mail tomorrow. Oh yeah, right. I don't actually know if AliExpress sells them, to be honest. I've never even seen them on the internet. I haven't had a chance to search for them. Capital C says, if they fit your motor, the Emax Avan 3-inch are a solid prop. They're okay. They're a little bit too thin towards the end of the propeller, and they tend to bend up quite a bit. But you hit on the main problem. If they fit your motors, they don't fit most motors because the prop is so aggressively drops down right outside of the mounting platform. So yeah, I don't know of many motors that those Emax Avan 3-inch propellers will work on. Capital C says, MM2NN soldering motors to that O4 AIO is a pain. I recommend 90-degree plugs. I don't think you'll be able to get those 90-degree... Maybe, but I don't think you'll be able to get the 90-degree plugs on there. Euro says, document it, Grasshopper. Document it what? Document what? Whoop Fox says, I have the HQ 2.5 by 2.1 by 3. They rip. They have so much hang time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a couple of those. CiottiFPV says, the 2550 kV was a 5-inch build standard for 5-inch build. Standard for 4S. Why is 6S a bad idea if ESC is 40 plus amps? I think that's what Straker was asking. It's not a micro, but a mini. I mean, it basically depends. It does depend on the AIO. You can have an AIO that's 100 amps. If it's cheap, and if it's thin, and if it's meant for smaller builds and micros, it's not going to make a shit bit of difference. Even if it's 100 amps, it's going to blow up. The tiny little AIOs that are ESCs that are meant for micros are not made, even if they say that they're 6S capable, even if they're 40 amps or 50 amps, they're not made for, they're just not good enough. Not to mention that it just doesn't accomplish anything. Like a 3-inch rig or a 3.5-inch rig, you can't find a set of motors that's going to pull enough amperage for a 6S battery to accomplish anything. The reason why 6S worked so well on 5-inch rigs is because we started to pull over 100 amps, like well over 100 amps. And at that massive amp number, extra voltage helped us out quite a bit. 3-inch rigs will never do that. 3-inch rigs will never pull over 100 amps. And so 4S is the right battery voltage for those. From a reliability standpoint and just from like everything else. What I will say is that 5 and 6S open up more motor options. So there will be more motors that are that you can spin to a higher RPM, but in those scenarios you start making so much power that you've got like this 3-inch build that's got a 15-to-1 power to weight ratio and you can't fly it anywhere. It doesn't cruise at a fast enough RPM, at a fast enough speed for big locations, but then it's got so much power that it only makes sense at a big location. So it's completely imbalanced, right? And so, yeah, 3-inch rigs are for smaller spots. In smaller spots, you don't need all the power in the world unless you want something that's kind of a nightmare to fly. You go and you fly it at a bigger spot, and all you do is stare at the grass because it's a big spot and it's a small rig, so you got to fly 70 degrees of up tilt to go fast enough for it to make sense at a big spot. And so again, it's a totally imbalanced build that, you know, you fly a bunch of times, you're like, wow, this is super fun, but then like you never grab for it from the shelf because it just doesn't make any sense. It's fun for a couple times, but then it doesn't, you know, it's not a balanced flight experience. It's not something that you want to fly all the time. Jamie Flies FPV says, I think it's the one that's out of stock everywhere. HQ Prop Macro Quad, 7 by 4.5 by 3 tri-blade 7-inch glass reinforced. Brad says HQ Cine. Happen to remember what website had it. I'm asking Fly High FPV to stock it. All right, let's see. We'll see. It is sold. You have to buy 2 clockwise, and then you have to buy 2 counterclockwise. It is not sold as 4 propellers, 2 clock and 2 counterclock. That's one of the ways I remember that Brad was telling me about it. And Jamie just said the same thing. She said, you can get clockwise, but not counterclockwise, LOL. I think that might be the one. HQ Macro Quad 7 by 4.5 by 3. That I think we're talking about the same one. Oh, apparently GetFPV has it. GetFPV and Addictive RC. There it is. Addictive RC. Let's see. Addictive RC. So if we go to Addictive RC and we go to propellers and we go to 7-inch, it'll be in here. There it is. HQ Cine 7 by 4 by 3. Is that it? Hold on. Let me just look around a little bit. Or is it this team? No, it's a 7.5. We don't want that. The Street League props, you can get those anywhere. HQ Macro. Look at these. What are these? Let's see. Look, it has a picture of 2. Yeah, there it is. Oh, okay. No. It comes with both, but look, it's just one. It's just one. You only get one of each. This is the one. This is the one that Brad was saying was really good. HQ Cine 7. HQ Cine 7, 7 by 4 by 3. Yeah. GetFPV. So if we search for this. Well, maybe that's what's going on. Maybe GetFPV is making it look like it's only... Hold on, let's just search for it there. Nope, it doesn't come up at all. What if I just straight search for it? Looks like TBS has it. Yeah. Look at all these 7-inch props, though, that Addictive RC has. Oh, look at this. Yeah, here's the counterclockwise and clockwise. There's a more pitchy 7-inch biblade, though. Holy hell, they have 3 pages of 7-inch props? Good lord. Somebody at Addictive RC flies 7-inch builds, because it looks like they have all the 7-inch props. Wow, that's pretty slick. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, Fly High commenting in the chat, you'll blow up less electronics running 4S instead of 6S. Yep, I forgot to mention that. That's why 6S makes no sense on a micro. I will say this. If you build a 3-inch or 3.5-inch rig and you use a giant, expensive ESC meant for a 5-inch build, sure, run 1000S. It'll be fine. You can run 6S on that setup, but now you've got an ESC that's way too expensive for no reason. It's way too heavy for no reason, right? Like when you build a micro, you use a cheaper, lighter weight ESC that's meant for it, and they'll say that they're 6S capable, but then you run them on 6S and they catch on fire. You run them on 4S, you get exactly the same performance and they don't catch on fire. Good for you, Addictive RC. I'm gonna leave this open because I want to own all of the 7-inch props, and I didn't realize that they have 3 full pages of them. So yeah, I'm gonna beef up my my 7-inch prop collection with Addictive RC here. Right. But yeah, those 2.5-inch props would be amazing, dude. If you could start carrying those, that would be rad. And like I said, I don't know of anybody stateside that carries them, so that would be super slick. You could corner the market, bro. And apparently they're really good. Apparently they're the best 2.5-inch props that are out there. I think they're the propellers that Shaggy was flying at the Olympics. So maybe you can get some mileage out of that. Call them the Shaggy props. Whoop Fox says, I have the HQ 2.5 by the 2. I don't know. We talked about that. Okay. Sporty says, CiottiFPV and Fly High, and some good 1.8-inch props. Oh my God, yeah. Well, good. GemFan are going to be the ones that have to make a durable 1.8-inch prop. HQ ain't going to do it. HQ, their ultralight props are brilliant, but the hubs are too thin, too fragile, and they blow up. So we're going to have to rely on GemFan to make a 1.8-inch biblade for these 1.8-inch whoops to become realistic. And, you know, now we're talking about making a new propeller, which means making a new mold, which is like a whole different thing. Fly High is not going to be able to be like, hey, GemFan, do you mind spending like $2 or $3 grand and a couple of 100 hours of R&D making a 1.8-inch biblade? You know, that's a whole different conversation. That would be a conversation that I would actually want to have with GemFan. And to be honest, I mean, the 1.6-inch builds are kind of good enough. I mean, this M80 frame is good and all, but like, yeah, there's the 1.8-inch thing is kind of silly. 1.2, 1.6, 2. That's enough. 1.4 is kind of funny and silly. 1.8 no. 1.2, 1.6, 2-inch. That's it. Let's stick with those. And we've got wonderful prop options in those sizes. So, Danzilla Turbo says 7.5 inches where it's at. Kill me. Whoop Fox says, is there a good 2.5 biblade? There is not. That would need to be, again, another conversation. Like, hey, GemFan, there's a hole in the market. 2.5-inch biblades. There is no good one. There is no durable, well-balanced option. But again, that means making molds. That means hundreds of hours of R&D and testing and all that jazz. That's a tough sell. All right. Good to go here. And what time is it? Oh my God, it's 10:59. You guys have 1 more minute to join my Patreon on the $5 or higher tiers to get in on the first 3 giveaways. The 4th giveaway is open to anybody, but 60 seconds. We're going to get these giveaways going. Cool. And then when we finish up the giveaways, we'll do a little bit of flying. In order to do some flying, though, I've got to flip this charger over from storage to charge. That always helps. Flip the switch, push the button. I'm going to grab a couple little 260s that I haven't killed yet. I'm going to plop these on here, and then away we shall go. By the time we're done with the giveaways, we'll have some charged batteries, and we'll do some frying. As a reminder, if you have a Caddx Baby Ratel 2, I have a replacement case for you in case you ever break your case. I'll send it to you for free. You got to pay for shipping, but also Ant Light. I have an Ant Light here with a ruined lens. If you have an extra Ant Light lens, I'd love to buy it off you. If you don't want to let it go and you want a perfectly good Ant Light board with a ruined lens, let me know. It can be yours. I even custom soldered these little plugs on here. This is one of the new Matrix AIOs, but it is totally bricked, so this is worthless. But I do have a Crazy G473 with a blown up ELRS, a blown up built-in ELRS chip on it. So you could add an external ELRS to this, and it would be totally usable. So if you want this, let me know. You'll have to put external ELRS on it. But other than that, this is perfectly good. Perfectly good Crazy G473. I'm going to throw this away. Because I already pulled the tune and everything off of it, and the ESC is just bricked, and it's just completely worthless. Although I guess I could use it for the VTX. Feed a camera into it. No, I have VTXs floating around. Yeah, it's bricked. All right, giveaway time, friends. So when we do these giveaways, I go over to my Patreon and I go over to my Discord, and I go into the Patreon only channel called the Video Collective, and I pull up 3 edits that you beautiful bastards have uploaded. The most recent 3 because I'm lazy. And I play these while I'm getting the giveaways set up, because that takes a few minutes to do. And so I'm going to get that rolling here. But actually, I need to refresh these windows now and click these stupid buttons to get Patreon to send me these emails with people in them, because they've changed their setup. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to give it a second. What the hell happened here? Why did that just happen? Which button did I just click? Oh, for heaven's sakes. Hang on. Denzel the Terrible's thinking of building a 6S Mobula7. It'll be great, dude. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. Nothing would possibly go wrong. Don E, it looks like, is going to be the second, the other video that we watch, and then we've got Cap C with Taco Tuesday, with another Taco Tuesday. He had a Taco Tuesday that we played last week. It's a bicycle event that was pretty cool, man. All right, so we got our 3 that we're going to watch, but I just need to suffer through Patreon's stupid setup here. Okay, so I'm going to delete that email. Mike Owen, welcome to the Gangly Gang. Thank you for supporting me, brother. I really do appreciate it. All right, here we go with that. And okay, so I need to come back in here. I need to click the right tab this time. I need to click that. Okay, it's good. Come over here. I'm going to give it a second. I'm going to click this. Okay. I'm going to come here to the third one. Give it a second. Click it. And then I'm going to go to the fourth one. Give it a second. I'm waiting for the email to come through. Come on, page. There it is. And I'm going to click it. Okay, cool. And so now this won't be an absolute nightmare. Wait, no, it'll still be a nightmare because it's gonna dump these files into my downloads folder. That's right. I now have to hit this, and now it's gonna. It makes the windows move all around on the computer. It's just silly. Oh, and now it's frozen. That's cool. Oh my god, yeah. And it asked me. That's right. It asked me to save each one. Right. Okay. So there's one. Here's the next one. Click this. Save. Click this, that, save, and then like this. What I could do is just say at the beginning of the live stream, hey, you've got 5 minutes to join, but I don't like to do that. I like to give you guys a couple warnings in case you want to change your tier or jump onto the Patreon right in front of the giveaway. There we go. That's good to go. All right, we're going to play the silly song that FizzFPV did, which is super cool. Stream shit. Give away music. And I'm going to do some stuff on the other monitor, and you're going to watch a couple of folks who are still doing edits and uploading their flight footage to YouTube. So go support these people, because if you don't, we won't have anything to watch. I'm putting all 3 links in the chat right now. Go subscribe to their channels. Go leave a comment. Go do all the things. Otherwise, we won't have any FPV videos left to watch. I'm going to put this giveaway music on and push a couple buttons, and I'll be back in a few.
Well, hello there, Gangly Gang. Welcome to CiottiFPV's monthly giveaway. The only stream where the props spin fast, the motors hum sweet, and the giveaways. Oh, honey, they're hotter than a soldering iron on a Sunday morning. Deal round one, Tinywhoop tease. Let's start small, shall we? Our Tinywhoop tier, the pocket rockets, the bedroom flyers, the ones who know how to keep it tight in tight spaces. One lucky pilot's about to get a little package that'll make the ducks flutter and the goggles fogger.
Size isn't everything, sugar.
But it sure helps when you're flying through lampshades.
We're round 2.
3-inch thrill. Next up, the 3-inch tier, the mid-range lovers, the backyard acrobats, the ones who like a little wiggle with their throttle this prize. Oh, it's got curves, baby, motors, frames, maybe even a little something to tickle your ESCs.
Not too big, not too small.
Just right for a little afternoon delight. 5-inch full send.
Round 3.
5-inch full send. Now we're talking full size, full send, full fantasy. The 5-inch tier, you like it loud, proud, and upside down. This giveaway's got thrust, baby. It's got punch. It's got the kind of gear that'll make your neighbors peek over the fence and say, "What is that buzzing?"
Careful now.
This one's got enough power to blow your canopy clean off.
Fake bonus round.
Super chat time. And for all you gorgeous viewers out there who just dropped in for a little love,
Don't be shy.
$5 super chat or a sweet little PayPal tip gets you into the open giveaway. No strings, no tears, just pure, unfiltered FPV affection.
$5 never felt so good, did it?
All right, we've teased, we've tickled, and now it's time to reveal who's getting lucky tonight. We're flipping the switch, spinning the props, and letting fate do the dirty work.
Don't be shy.
All right, I've almost got this new, very annoying process figured out. It's still not. I still can't get it done in time for that. It used to be so easy to get it done in the perfect amount of time for that song, but even with all that extra clicking that I did ahead of time, I just can't. Patreon made it so much more difficult to get this done. Jesus, hellballs. Okay, I'm good though. I got it. This is good to go here. This is good to go here. And all right, we're set. Here we go. Giveaway time, friends. First up is the Tinywhoop and Toothpick tier. Here's what you're playing for. Oh, it's so many propellers. Blue Broken Prop Crew lanyard. We've got black Beta FPV Air V2 canopy. Help us durability test this thing. Let us know how it is. 6 a day battery holder from Hockey Rounds. Brain 3D giant O4 canopy. This is for the Mobula 8 frame. We've got the Weebleed Anoyatron. You'll see what it is. We've got a ton of propellers. Look at this. A whole bunch of different props. That many. All different colors, all different blades, all different motor shafts. And then shout out to Weebleed, shout out to Newbie Drone. A set of their NX69 Nurture Nectar Golds. It also has one of the NX69 connectors in here, and then 4 of the batteries. That's our Tinywhoop and Toothpick giveaway. Let's see who's going to win it. Where's that window at? It's over here. Don't click the bottom of the window. It'll start doing things. Here we go. That's the right one. Goat at the ready. Everybody is on here. Bruno is down there by motor 1. He's hanging in. Stephen Corley is down by motor 3. He's hanging in as well. Free Lojo's in the... He's gone. Jer Majesty is sticking in. Patrick Clark with an E. You have won. Congratulations. Let me write your name down here. Patrick. C-L-A-R-K-E. Congrats, dude. Next up is the 3-inch Breaker Brushless and Cinewhoop tier. You are playing for a green Broken Prop Crew lanyard, and it's a prop extravaganza. We've got a set of the Dow 3028s. Yeah, 3028s. These are some of the best 3-inch props that exist. Arguably, these are the best 3-inch freestyle props that exist, but they're Dow, so they're hard to get a hold of. 2 sets of the GemFan ducted 3-inch props. These are my favorites for the Avada Killer. They transformed that thing. These are the HQ ducted 3.5-inch propellers. These are awesome as well, if you've got a 3.5-inch Cinewhoop. And then we've got a set of my favorite 3-inch 5-blade GemFan D76 props. These even come with prop screws pre-installed, ready to be put on to your nipply Pete. What the hell? Onto your Cinewhoop. And then we've also got a Gangly Gang sticker going in here as well. Oh, I hear him. I hear the bad dog. Am I gonna have to kick him out again? We'll see, man. Where am I at here? Monitor mic. Oh, I hope that wasn't the scene that's been up the whole time. I hope that's not. I hope you guys couldn't see what I was could see what I was just doing. Let's see who's gonna win. Jamie Harrell is hanging in. She just got blown away before my very eyes. I can't read any of these. Compost Pile is up by motor 4. Patrick Scott is off on the left there. He's hanging in. Kenneth Deli, you have won, my friend. Congratulations. He's down in Florida, being a Floridian. Kenneth, I haven't seen him in years, man. He wired up a bunch of the electric outlets in the basement here. He was in town when I first moved in here. Me, him, and Patrick did a shitload of stuff down here. Painted the red and purple. Kenneth wired a ton of electrical, which is awesome. We got the overhead fluorescent ballasts pulled down and replaced. Yeah, that was a blast. We had a really good time. Me, him, and Patrick just being dudes. Next up is the 5-inch tier. We've got a blue Broken Prop Crew lanyard. Make sure I hit the right button. Nope. I hadn't hit the right button. There we go. Blue Broken Prop Crew lanyard. And then we've got a whole ass frame here. This is the Newbie Drone frame with the arms that are connected. I forget what this frame is called. But yeah, 5-inch frame for the 5-inch tier. There you go. Let's see who's gonna win a frame. It's this one, right? Yep, this one. Here we go. Man, the fully charged goat is a fucking thing, man. Propellant FPV is on the top left, right next to Frank Nicholas, Kevin Sumner. Everybody that I just said got blown away. P. Richard Scott wins. Congratulations, dude. Let me just write this down. I don't even have to ship this. I can just drive it over to his house. he might actually really like this frame. This frame works with the old school Air VTX, DJI VTX, the giant one with the dual antennas that has, I believe, audio on board. He might actually really dig this for chasing wings. All right, I'm gonna actually put this aside so that I don't forget to bring it with me next time I go over there. And last but not least, we've got the Super Chat and or PayPal-based giveaway. $5 a ticket. You can buy as many tickets as you want. Here's what you're playing for. The big thing, as always, is the gangly fan. This is the only way that you can get a gangly fan. And we've got a fairly unique color. Only a couple have been made in this color combo. And so here we go. Striker, you're going to need to ask that question again after these giveaways because everything's about to get buried. Fair warning. So we've got a ton of stickers. We've got Bleed Eye, Northeast Whoop Championship jersey, Band-Aid, Whooptopia jersey, International Game of Whoop, Broken Prop Crew, We Bleed holographic, Northeast Whoop Championship, We Bleed, I Got 5, FBI We Bleed Man, Garbage Pail Kids We Bleed Man, Vegan, Build, Fly, Crash, Repeat, Bleed. And then we've got a green Broken Prop Crew lanyard. I'm going to start stuffing these in the bag here. We've got 6 packs a day from Hockey Rounds. We've got a Vifly Short Saver 2. These are like $30. These are like $20 or $30. So for a $5 ticket, this is amazing. This will save you. If you don't win this, you need to own this. This is the only short stopper that actually works. Vifly Short Saver 2. This will save you way more money than what it costs. If you do not have one of these, send me $5 right now and maybe win this, and it'll save you an ESC or a flight controller or something. Every single one of you needs to have this. This is like required gear for FPV. Cool. ESP32 cam. This is a wacky little camera that Uriel sent me that he said you can do some pretty cool stuff with over Wi-Fi. The gangly fan in the purple, the solid purple back. I think this is the last one that's going to have this solid purple back and the red front. Hook it up to a barrel plug, 2S or 3S, stand it up like this as a solder fumes extractor, lay it down like this, and put your digital builds or analog builds on top of it when you're going to be updating them or running the VTXs so the VTXs don't melt. Gangly fan logo on the bottom, power switch, super, super, super cool. And then, last but not least, you're going to get to pick a set of these We Bleed stick ends. Shout out to Zotek for sending these over. There's a bunch of different shapes. I think these are actually discontinued. Old school thumb grippies. Yeah. So you'll get to pick which shape you want, if you want them. Jimmy the Goat. Holy shit. Jimmy the Goat sees something that he wants. $50 super chat. He's going to get 10 tickets for that. Let's get it rolling. Jimmy. Oh, it's not going to let me. Will it? No, I said Jimmy the Goat. Jimmy the Cow. Cognitive decline, friends. It's a real thing. Jimmy the Goat. Jesus Christ on a crutch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There it is. Thank you for the support, Jimmy. Super, super, super generous. Don't be off-put by the fact that Jimmy's got 10 tickets. We play this David versus Goliath game every first Monday of the month, and you would not believe how many times someone that just buys one ticket wins. Julio with a $19.99 super chat. He wants 4 tickets. Thank you for the support, my friend. Let's get you in here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Getting my email pulled up. for anybody that wants to do PayPal. They're over on CiottiFPV.com. There's a PayPal button. It makes it super easy. PayPal doesn't take a percentage. YouTube, Google take 30% of everyone's money. That's okay. They give us a spot to. They give me a spot to put all my shenanigans on. So I got to get paid somehow. I don't monetize these live streams so that you guys don't have to watch the commercials. And so yeah, there you go. Frank Nicholas with a $10 PayPal. He's getting 2 tickets. Thank you, Frank. Let's get this going here. And 1, 2. There we go. Frank knows that you can't play if you don't win. Wait, no. Actually, let me take a quick look at Striker's questions. Maybe I can blast through them real quick. Before him, Zach is doomed by the bell regarding the Caddx Nano Ant camera. Is it possible to switch from 4x3 to 16x9 without the little menu pad? I don't believe so. Although I think there were cameras that you could do that by shorting, by just shorting out the ground to camera pad. You would like turn it on with those pads shorted out, and it would swap from 16x9 to 4x3. I don't remember if that was one of the cameras where you could do that, but there were cameras, so you could try that. It might blow the camera up. Stricker says, I was talking about a 5-inch build, by the way, old one that runs 4S2550, and wondering if it's chill to upgrade 6S to the motor limit. ESC is going to be fine. It's a Pacer V2 60 amp. Yes, I did that for many years. I ran, although 2550 kV is absurdly high. I did it with, well, wait, no, that's not that high. I did it with 2400 kV motors. Yeah, I ran 2400 kV motors on 6S with a motor limit for a number of years when I was testing that against 1600 kV motors on 6S with no motor limit. And I couldn't tell any difference. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. In fairness, it is a little more abusive on the ESC, and you got to be careful when you're in turtle mode because turtle mode does not have the motor limit. But other than that, if you're careful, you can do it. Straker also says, for this hypothetical thing, what are your thoughts on a 75% motor limit? It's probably about right. Do you think the efficiency loss from the motor limit will be more than the efficiency gain from 4S to 6S? It all comes out in the wash. You gain efficiency from the higher voltage, but you lose efficiency from the motors being wound at too high of a kV. And so, yeah, when I did that, they flew the same. They had the same run times. It was the same sort of everything. All right. Come back down in the chat here. And all right, I'm going to give us about another minute or two. And then it's going to be one of 3 people that win all this good stuff. Are you seriously telling me that you all have a Vifly Short Saver too? I ain't buying it, bro. You can't play if you don't win, friends. Supporting gambling addiction since 2023, maybe 2022. You never know. Thank you to all that support me. It's super rad to be able to do this and learn so much and spread the good juju of FPV to as many people as we can. 30-second countdown, people. Here we go. It's going to be Jimmy the Cow, Julio, or Frank Nicholas. Submit. Go. Julio is down bottom left by motor 3. One of his things just got blown away. Jimmy the Cow is down there by motor 1. It's Jimmy the Cow or Frank Nicholas. No, there's still a Julio up there. Jimmy the Cow, Frank Nicholas, or Julio. Jimmy the Cow, Frank Nicholas, Julio. Jimmy the Cow's got a lot of tickets on there. It's Jimmy the Cow. Congrats, brother. You have won. Goliath prevailed tonight. Jimmy the Cow. Can I search for that? If I can search for that on Patreon, then I'm good. If I can't search for Jimmy the Cow on Patreon, do me a favor, shoot me a message somewhere that says, yo, I'm actually gaga ba 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 on Patreon for my address. Moo indeed! Somebody's getting mad cow disease tonight. And it's whoever Jimmy the Cow sleeps with. Thank you, friends, for supporting me. What a wild ride this has been. Let's do a little bit of flying. We got a half an hour left. Feel free to ask any questions that you've got. And yeah, so here you go, Nyafu. Here is... Oh man, the thing happened again. This weird thing keeps happening when I close these windows on my desktop, and it leaves all this stuff on top of them. Why does it do this? This is so odd. It like imprints the thing on the desktop. It's so weird. Okay, hold on. Got this. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Hold on. It's not fine. Jimmy the Cow says, AKA Kelvin. Social stream. Hold on. Man, I gotta have a lot of windows open to do all these things. Are you in Astoria? Jimmy, are you in Astoria? If so, I accidentally printed out an extra label with your name on it. Oh my god, that's hysterical. I have the label right here. That's ridiculous. Awesome. I printed an extra label for you. I got confused when you did that Etsy order, and I accidentally printed out 2 labels, and they charged me to cancel the labels out. And so I just put the label over here. I was like, at some point, it'll be perfect. Yes, I won batteries you never mailed. That's the extra. Which batteries? Wait, no, I probably have it sitting right here. Is it sitting right here? No, that's David. Who's that? David Wing? Bob Notch? Oh, you told me not to mail them. That's right. I remember this. Yeah, that was the extra. I remember this. Striker with a $5 super chat. He says, I think a bit of gambling is okay if it's for the last of a dying species of actually good FPV content creators that don't make brain rot slop. Striker, I'm going to put you on the window that I leave opened, and next month you're going to be on here. Thank you for the support, brother. Striker FPV is going on here, so if I do reset, I'm gonna put you right there, and then this will stay until next month. So you'll be entered into next month's. Cool. You Can FPV says, did you try the Weebleed 340s yet? I have not gotten them yet. No. Striker says, it's chill. I didn't want to participate in the giveaway, so I waited till after. Oh, okay. I'll take you out. Thank you, dude. All right, good to go. Cool. Oh, hey, Jimmy, which of these do you want? Look, I'm just gonna hold it up, and you gotta just somehow tell me which of these you want. These are M3. Hopefully you have a transmitter that's M3. I think that's M3. That's the smaller one. Yeah. Which shape do you want? If you're a thumber, it's going to be super obvious. You're going to want those ones. But yeah, which shape do you want? I'll throw them in. Shout out to Weebleed for sending this and all kinds of other fun stuff over to keep a lot of these giveaways going. And Newbie Drone and Beta FPV, and, you know, the folks that send me stuff over, when I'm done using it, I will put it into these giveaways to get out to you guys. So shout out to them. All right. Send me the hybrid style ones. Short, flat top. These? Or I think you want these. Short, flat top. Is that it? Short, flat top? Or those? These are the only two short, flat top ones. Let me know which one. Number 2, the smaller one. Cool. I was about to say there's only one of these. Do you just want one? No, I found the second one. All right, there we go. I gotta get this back into the box, which is over there. Aye. Hopefully I remember to put that in there. All right, these go here. Let's do a little bit of flying. Let me know, ask some more questions, friends. We are back to Q&A. Unless you want to see me fix something, because I got a bunch of stuff I got to fix. Hey, speaking of fixing something, the VCI motors have... Let's see if it'll work. The VCI motors have a different laser welding setup. And when I was reviewing these motors, I said, ooh, the way that that's set up, it looks like these motor shafts might never slip. You'll never guess what happened today. And this is me confirming it with maybe the prop was just slipping on the motor shaft, but the props never slip on the motor shafts. Because if they slip, they fly off. And so if I grab this, yep, that's a slip motor shaft. So the VCI motors will absolutely slip motor shafts, just like the other ones. In order to test that, you grab the bell of the motor with your index fingers and the prop shaft with a pair of pliers. Or I noticed it because the propeller was on there and it started making a funny noise. And then so what you normally do is just hold the bell and then just push the propeller. Don't push it super hard because you can be the reason that you ruin this laser weld. But you can put some force into it, and yeah, if the motor shaft is slipping on the bell, you'll know it. You won't have to put much force before it lets go. So I need to take this fucking thing apart again that's on the direct soldered motors and swap another motor onto this. This build is for sale. Please buy this for me so that I can stop taking it apart and direct soldering motors to it. It's on a Cockroach V3 frame, VCI O7 II 30,000 kV motors, Super X AIO, the AIO from the Mobula7 2024 version 1, old school canopy, Runcam Nano 3 camera, and lightweight antenna. Flies great, it really does. These VCI motors are awesome. I'm pretty impressed by them, but I'm over the direct soldered thing. Julio says, you build a HDZero AIO5 with 40,000 kV motors. Can you send me the CLI dump? You had asked me this somewhere, and I said no. I did that build probably over a year ago. So I no longer have the CLI dump. Not that I would send the CLI dump anyway. Someone else sending you a CLI dump is a really bad idea. It's a really good way of blowing up your AIO or just generally having something that doesn't fly all that well. So yeah, don't do that. Tuning is super easy nowadays. You take the Master Multiplier slider and you just start moving it up. And you're going to move it up. So what I do is I go from 1.0 to 1.2. Fly the rig, make sure it's not acting weird, sounding weird. Move it up to 1.4. Make sure it's not acting weird, sounding weird. 1.6, 1.8, 2.0. Eventually, you'll get that Master Multiplier so high that the build will tell you, yo, you've gone too far. It'll start flying away on its own. It'll sound weird. It'll tell you. It becomes very obvious. At that point, you just back it off. If when you went from 1.6 to 1.8, it starts acting weird, back it off to 1.6. That tune right there is like 95% perfect and way better than any tune you're ever going to get from anyone else. Tunes vary based on air density, temperature, your piloting, like your tastes as a pilot, lots of stuff. And so using anyone else's tune is a really bad idea, and it's going to lead to something that's like even worse than where you started. The sliders have made tuning so simple. And like I said, just moving that Master Multiplier up and down is going to give you so much better of a result than a similar tune or even an identical tune. You know, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia at, I think like 1,000 feet of altitude. if you're at 500 feet or if you're at sea level or if you're at 3,000 feet of altitude, my tune is going to be a nightmare and it might light your AIO on fire. Like there are so many variables. Everybody builds differently, right? Like there's just way too many variables for you to use anybody else's tunes. It's a really bad idea, and it's going to cost you money and time, and don't do that. Just grab that Master Multiplier, start moving it up, wait for the quad to tell you that you've gone too far, back it off, done. Super simple. I tune a little bit more specifically than that, but I tune in a way that makes the flight footage look very cinematic. Most people hate my tunes because they have a ton of stick smoothing added in, which shows up as latency. So my tunes are very latent, and they feel really bad. But the flight footage that comes out of them looks pretty good, which for me, somebody that, you know, half of my living is made flying for people for money, it makes a lot of sense for me to do that. If you're not in that boat, it makes absolutely no sense for you to fly as latent of a tune as I do, because who cares? Who's looking at your flight footage, right? Nobody, typically. Maybe like a couple of buddies, but you're going to hate the way that it feels, and then your buddy's going to go, oh, it looks pretty smooth, and you're going to be like, cool, and that's it. That's the and then like you're going to go fly, and it's going to feel like ass again. You know, so yeah. Use the sliders, friends. Don't be afraid of the sliders. You can't do anything wrong with that Master Multiplier. Jimmy the Cow says, how much for that build? I got a package on the way already. LOL. I don't even know. I would have to total up some of the parts, but if you message me with a number, I probably won't say no. Eweezy says, Runcam Thumb Pro 2 versus GoPro versus DJI O4 Lite. Rank these on smaller builds. I don't own any DJI products, so I would start fresh. I don't really rank stuff. I just tell you the positives and negatives. Me ranking stuff for me doesn't help anybody other than other live streamers, other people that live stream for half of their career and fly professional FPV for clients in Atlanta for the other 50% of their career. You know what I'm saying? So strengths and weaknesses. Runcam Thumb Pro 2, super cheap, super light. Decent video quality, but nowhere near as good as the other two options. GoPro, super heavy, super heavy, super expensive. You can typically get them from Best Buy here in the US with Geek Squad protection. And so when you inevitably smash them, you can return them, and it costs you $40 to $50 to get it replaced, to get another Geek Squad protection. So it's going to be very expensive. The best possible quality of these three options. And yeah, those are the pluses and minuses there. Super heavy though. DJI O4 Lite, super lightweight, shockingly good quality. Significantly less field of view than the others, but you can fly through it, which is amazing. O4 Lite is magic. Durability wise, you're not going to have to hang it on the outside of the quad, so it's going to be more durable than the GoPro. You're going to have to deal with things like props in view, which you may or may not care about. But it's going to be not hard, but you're going to have to do some work to find a frame that's not going to have props in view. It's amazing that you can fly through it. It's hard to compare that to the other two, because the other two, you're going to have to build an FPV system and then put the other camera on top. The advantage of an HD camera on top and then an FPV system on board is that you can build an FPV system that's super low latency and works really well in super dark conditions. If you want to fly like late at night or just straight up at night, the O4 Lite is not going to really do a very good job with that. The external cameras, you're going to be able to set them to be underexposed and give you that like really nice dark look with street lights and whatnot. You can't do that with an onboard FPV camera because you'll just run into invisible stuff. And so having an external HD cam is really sort of required for full-blown night flying. And then you build an FPV system where you can actually see where you're going. It kind of looks like shit, but you can see where you're going, and then you can get flight footage that's nice and dark, and looks really good. So yeah, it's a tough comparison, onboard HD FPV versus external HD cam, but yeah. So there you go. There's the pluses and minuses of all three. DJI O4 Lite is incredibly fun. Being able to fly through something that looks that good is rad. And in every scenario other than like full tilt night flying, it's going to be magic. It's going to cost you a fortune though, because you're starting fresh and you're going to have to get DJI goggles, but DJI is one hell of an FPV system. And so the GoPro is still going to be more expensive because the GoPro, you have to then buy a full FPV system. And so that means goggles and all that other jazz. So yeah. CiottiFPV says, have you ever replaced motor wires from direct solder ones to plug and play ones? It depends on the motors. Motors that have, like Tinywhoop motors that have the PCB on the motor, yes, absolutely. Bigger motors that have the windings running out the side of the motor and then a piece of shrink wrap with a multi-stranded cable direct soldered to the enameled stator wire. No, I don't fuck with that. That sucks. That is super annoying to have to do that. And so, yeah, I just don't do it. What I'll do is I'll cut the wires short, and then I'll run a little race wire LED on the arm here. And so cut the motor wires super short, solder them up to the race wire, and then you've got a set of pads here that you can run to the ESC. Oh. Yeah. All right, are these batteries done? Yeah, they are. All right, let's fly some shit, yo. So we're going to compare this 1.4-inch build to the Air V2 on the 30,000 kV motors. There'll be a massive difference between these two. You guys will absolutely be able to see the difference between 1.4-inch props and 1.2-inch props. Cool. This will be fun. Hey, Momo Slappy says, have you ever had an all-new parts build and not get the Master Multiplier past 1.2? Yeah, for sure. I got a new build, trilling and flyaways at 1.2, VCI 30,000K, HQ 30,000 kV rather, HQ Ultralights, Beta FPV Air 65 V2 frame. So the problem is the Beta FPV Air 65 V2 frame. If you watch yesterday's live stream. We dove into 75mm frames and took a look at some black box logs and really talked about that. The two new Beta FPV Air V2 frames, the 65 and the 75, have sacrificed flexibility and they've sacrificed flexibility for lightweight, and they have some pretty severe I can't think of the word. Resonant frequencies in the frame. And so hopefully you're running an AIO. Did you call out the AIO? You did not call out the AIO. Hopefully you've got an AIO that's got black box, because you're going to want to do a black box log. Look at you're going to see in the log a massive spike. Fuck it, let's do it. Here's what you do. I'm going to turn off the... I don't even need to turn it off. Oh, no. What am I saying? I have the logs. Shit, I might even have the log from the Air 65. Hold on. I bet you I don't, but I might. Hold up. 1S Walk Snail, 2104 Cinesplorer, Air 75. You know what? This is an example to get. I should have saved the log, but I didn't. Let's do it, and then I'm gonna save the log in here. It'll be really nice to have it. All right, so these are the logs from yesterday. Okay, so yeah, here you go. This is great. I want to have this log because if anybody runs this frame, I think they'll be able to put this notch filter on there to get good performance out of it. So here's the deal, right? Unless you've got an incredibly powerful set of motors and an incredibly lightweight set of propellers, you should always be able to get the Master Multiplier up to like 1.4, 1.6, 1.8. On your build, you've got a pretty powerful set of motors, but they're not that powerful. If you had something broken, you might have trouble. Although, yeah, I mean, I don't have this tune super cranked up, but whatever. Here's the process. So this is the notch filter that I currently have. I'll bet you that this would work. I'll bet you that if you do exactly this, you'd be okay. Can't guarantee that, but there's a good chance that this notch filter will work. I'm going to turn this off, though. And we're going to fly this without it. And I'm going to show you the huge spike of noise. And then I'm going to have that log in this folder on my desktop so that in the future we can look at it. I'm just looking over a couple of these other things. Okay, so the dynamic notch is a little bit more aggressive. I remember that was the first way that I tried to attack this problem. Nothing else looks like totally insane. So the tune is turned up a little bit, but not like crazy. Okay, this is fine. This is actually the tune that this thing ships with, which is... no, it's not exact. I move this around a little bit. But it's pretty close. Didn't I do a profile 2? I guess not. No, I didn't do a profile 2. Okay, so yeah, this tune is a little bit more aggressive, but not, like, crazy. Let's see. Here we go. You want to run the battery that you normally run on this. So I'm going to do a Lava 300 1S. And so, you got to put black box on your transmitter so that you can turn it on and turn it off. I do it on this switch here. Black box on, which also turns my OSD off. Black box off, which turns my OSD back on. All right? So here we go. Oh, farts. Ooh, there's a little buddy over here. I didn't know you were there, doggo. You were being so well behaved and quiet. You guys are going to see him in 3, 2, 1. There he is. Is goggle battery really going dead, or is it just Fat Shark being a donkey raping shit eater? No, it's actually going dead. Great. Keep beeping. I love the sound of that beep. Fat Shark. I just love it. I want you to beep forever. Beep all the time. Beep when the battery's charged. Beep when the battery's dead. Just beep all the time. Warn me that the battery's dead all the time. It definitely isn't the stupidest thing ever. Although I would rather it beep too often than not often enough. Let's be honest here. All right. Ready? So here's how you do a quick black box log. Depending on whether or not the damn thing flies away. Oh, Teddy! All right. Yeah, so it's not flying away like the 75mm rigs were, but it's certainly not happy. I'm going to go upstairs. Like when I go 0 throttle, it's just like it's not happy at all. Look at this camera. It is dark up here. So OSD off means black box log is on. So I've got some space. I'm going to go full throttle. A bunch of blips. Oh, God. It's hard to see. Let's look this way. Okay. You want to get in the log, you want every throttle amount. Oh, shit. All right, so that log is now worthless because I hit the ceiling. Turn it off, and now turn it back on. You want to raise the throttle quick. You want to raise the throttle slow. This is way easier to do outside. Now you want to cruise around a little bit. Make sure you don't hit anything. Cruise around, steady state. Try to cruise around at different speeds. Again, you're trying to give the log all different throttle percentages, all different RPMs of the motors. And then you're going to go right, left, don't hit the railing, front, back. Yaw left, yaw right. A couple times. That's it. That's a good solid black box log right there. So, now, we go into Betaflight first. Unplug, pull the battery. And so now, what we're about to look at, the log that we're about to get, is at 1,000 feet elevation at 70-ish degrees with this exact set of HQ 1.2 by 0.9 propellers, this exact set of Beta FPV Air V2 07 02 30,000 kV motors, this exact Air 65 V2 frame, this exact antenna, this canopy, this camera, right? Every crash that I've put into this build is going to be represented on this log, right? Every second that I've flown this build is going to be represented on this log. And so I think the big spike that we're going to see is because of this frame. This frame is probably going to be very similar to your frame, but it's not going to be exact, right? Because I've crashed this frame before. So this frame is loosened up a little bit, right? And so fair warning, like I'll bet you that you can drop this. I'll bet you can just skip all this that I'm about to show you and just take this notch filter and thump it on your thing and it'll be fine. You'll probably be okay. But I'm going to show you the right way of doing it. If you've got an AIO that has black box on board. Cool? So we hook back up to the computer. And we fire up Betaflight. We come down here to black box. This is important. You need this black box configuration to be set up just like this. 2 kilohertz so that it logs all the way up to 2,000 vibrations per second. Gyro scaled. If you're on a newer version of Betaflight, this is going to be called gyro unfiltered, I believe it is. If you need to make any changes here, make those changes and then hit save and reboot. Okay, that's important. Those, I've already done that. Those are here. So we look, use space 5.6 megabytes. I've got 2 logs in here. We click this button, activate mass storage device. That's going to turn the quad into a little tiny hard drive called Beta FLT. Open this up. What on earth just happened? Oh, shit sticks. Okay. I've hid everything. I was zooming out and I double clicked. Oh my god, what has happened? Everything's gone. Hold on. Well, this is the dumb person way of doing this, but that's fine. Numbers, get out of here, numbers. All right, that's fine. That was weird. Okay, that's gonna open this up. There's actually a whole bunch of logs on here. That's kind of annoying. Let's, where's the top bar? Oh, for fuck's sake, are you kidding me? Where'd all my windows go? Where's the top bar? Where's my little top bar with the things? There we go. Done. Okay. Go to columns. All right. If you've got a whole bunch of logs like this, look at how big they are. The first log is 6 kilobytes. That's empty. 520 kilobytes. That's empty. 16 kilobytes. That's nothing. 10 kilobytes. That's nothing. 120. Nothing. 82. Nothing. 6. Nothing. 10. Nothing. 5 megabytes. There we go. That's the actual log. So we're going to grab that, drag it and drop it, let it copy. soon as it's done copying, we're going to unplug the quad. All right? That's the only way to get it out of hard drive mode. Unplug it, plug it back in. Now we're going to go into beta flight. We're going to go to black box. We're going to hit erase flash. This takes a second. While it's going, you're going to get info on this. You have to unlock it. Click to unlock. And now you're going to name it something that makes sense. In this case, I'm going to name this Air65 II Dirty. Because this is without the notch filter. This is the dirty log. Enter. We've now got our log. This finished erasing. Unplug the quad so it doesn't get hot. You're going to fire up Black Box Explorer, or you're going to go to the website where you can do the web version of Black Box Explorer. It's all the same. This is going to give me a warning that it's out of date. That's fine. We're going to take this log. We're going to drag it and drop it in, or you can click open. And so here we go. It's storing that. So this is where I hit the ceiling. How the hell do I tell this to ignore? I need to cut that out. Oh, balls. How do I cut that out? Can I right click? No. Shit. Well, maybe we're okay. Workspace up here. You're going to go UAV Tech and look at his workspace setup because we need noise plots. Noise plots is what we want to look at. And then we're going to click in the overlay, view/hide analyzer display. Click that and it's going to bring this up in the corner. And then we're going to zoom on it. This is what we care about. This is where we're going to see the problem. And so now we've got gyro scaled roll. This is the raw gyro signal, gyro scaled pitch. And then we've got gyro roll. This is after the filtering, gyro pitch after the filtering. First thing we're going to look at is gyro scaled roll. This is exactly what is coming out of the gyro itself. So if there's any weird frame resonances, this is going to show it. And this is not bad. We could clean this up a little bit, but look, we already are. Ready? We're going to go to gyro roll after the filters and crushed. After the filters, this is very quiet. Totally fine. Raw gyro data, we've got a little bit of vibration, some from the prop, some from the motors, some from the frame, but it's getting totally crushed by the filtering. Awesome. Pitch is going to be way more messy. This is a bit much here. But if we click through to gyro pitch, we can see that the filters are doing a decent job, but this is still kind of noisy here. We can either back the tune off or we can add some more filtering. The worst offender is right here. While we're at it, let's look at yaw real quick just for the... Wow, why is yaw got... What's happening here? Let's see how the filters are dealing with it. They're crushing it. Okay. These vibrations, the higher frequency the vibration, the harder all of the built-in filtering is going to hit it. And this is a perfect example. We've got a pretty big spike up here at 515 hertz, but all the filtering that Betaflight just normally has hammers those higher frequencies and it just dis-a-fucking-peers. So we don't have to worry about this. We do have to worry about this pitch though. This is a bit much here. And so it tells you that your max motor noise is at 179 hertz. That's this big spike here. And so we want to hit this spike pretty hard. Again, this is gyro scaled. This is what's coming out of the gyro. This is after the filtering. And so actually, since the filtering is already hitting this 179 hertz spike pretty hard, it's probably the dynamic filter that's hitting that good and hard. What we're left with in gyro pitch is this secondary one. So let's hit this secondary one, which is above 200 hertz, which is great. So it's at 219. So here's what we do. We know that the max motor noise is at 219. We're going to hold shift. When we hold shift, it gives us this nice green thing. At the top of this green thing, it tells us what the where we are, right? So I hold shift, and as I move this around, it tells me the specific frequency that the green line is at. And so watch this, right? What we want to target is this bump here. The dynamic filter is already doing a good job at this bump. And look, it's lower. It's lower and it's smaller. And so this is getting taken care of already. We want to focus on this one. What we could do is add a second dynamic notch. That would... Maybe that's what we'll do. That's what Brandon usually does. Fuck it. Let's do that. We're going to add a second dynamic notch to attack that one, and then we're going to do another log and see what happens. It's 12:01 already. Shit. Hold on. Let me take a look and make sure that that's not a motor thing. Nah, see, these are vertical spikes. These are frame resonances. Yeah, gyro scaled pitch. This is going to look nasty. Although... Yeah, I mean this is what a banged up motor or propeller looks like here. But watch this. Ready? We've got RPM filtering turned on. This is gyro scaled. This is regular gyro post filters. Watch what happens. The RPM filtering is going to delete this. Gone. That's the magic of RPM filtering. But look, RPM filtering can't hit these vertical spikes. These verticals are the frame resonance. And these are going to get handled by the dynamic filter. And you can see two of them. Our dynamic filter is going to be able to hit one of these, but it's not going to hit the second one. So we can add a second dynamic filter in. And so let's do that. The dynamic filters don't hit as hard as the notch filters, but the dynamic filters will move around a little bit if they need to. And they're what most black box tuners default to for their filtering. So let's add a second dynamic filter and we'll see what happens here. So that's easy to do. You don't have to drop. Well, okay. I'll figure out where I would put the notch with you real quick. So if I was to put a notch so that we can do two things at once, I would look for a center frequency here. Well, actually, we'll bracket the outside. So we're looking for the main hump here. So the left side of the hump here, it starts to quiet down. It looks like 100 and call it 200 hertz. This is 200 hertz right here. That's a nice round number. So the bottom of this would be, of this notch filter, I would put at 200. And then I want the top to be, looks like 240. So we would go 220 for the center, 200 for the cutoff, and then it would swing that 200 up to 240. So if I was going to take care of this with a notch filter, which is going to hammer this, I would do it like this. And like I said, this might work for those of you that are running an Air65 V2 frame. I would go in here, PID tuning, filter settings. I would do it as a D-term notch, and for the center frequency, I would go 200. For the cutoff, I would... sorry, 220 is what I figured out. And then for the cutoff, I would do 200. That right there would absolutely crush that little peak. Instead, what I'm going to do is add a second dynamic notch filter in by going like that. And so that right there is maybe a cheat code for anybody using the Air65 V2 frame. Just go from one dynamic notch to two. Q factor is how wide the notch is. The higher the number, the narrower it is, which is going to reduce latency. The lower the number, the wider it is. 300 is pretty wide. Let me move that to 400. That moving it up to 400 is going to decrease latency to offset the fact that I just added an entire second dynamic notch filter in, which adds latency. So let's do that. Let's save it. And then let's see how it is. All right. Unplug. If it's still noisy, I will have to add the notch filter in. Here we go. Get in there, battery. Doodly-dee, doodly-dee. Transmitter's not on. Shit. I'm gonna have to listen to that song again. No, no, no. Hey. All right. So let's see how it is. And we'll do another log. But I'll be able to tell you pretty quick if that worked. It did. Much better. Much better. But we're going to do another log anyway. Just so that we can see what kind of an effect that had. Alright, black box is on. Oh god, don't hit the wall. Throttle pumps, all different throttle amounts. If you can do this outside, you do like a really slow throttle increase from 0 all the way up to 100. Alright, we do a little cruising. Those vibrations are at like 200 hertz, 180 hertz. Those are all low. Those are at like cruising. So we want to do a bunch of cruising here at different throttles to really let those, let there be a bunch of those on the log. All right, there we go. Good log. There he is. But, like I said, this is fine now. There's still might be a little bit in there, but there's not so much that it's like an issue anymore. If I wanted to push this tune any farther, though, I would need to keep cleaning that up. And so, yeah, let's see what we got here. Plug back in. And back into Betaflight. Connect. Black box. Activate mass storage mode. It's going to pop up as a hard drive here. Come in. It's the only file, so it's definitely that one. It's done copying, unplug, replug, connect, black box, erase, yes, click, get info, unlock, close, name it something interesting. Air65 V2 semi dirty. No. I'm gonna name this clean. Clean, and then clean 1, because there's gonna be a clean 2 in a second with the other filter dropped in with the notch filter. Okay, here's something really cool with black box. We're looking at pitch, gyro on pitch, right? We can just drag and drop this second file, and it'll just snap it in here. And kablama! Wow, that second dynamic notch crushed a bunch of stuff. Okay, I didn't expect that. Let's go back to the dirty one with 1 dynamic notch. Wowee. There's a chance that that first log, when I smacked into the railing, maybe that's doing something, because that adding a second dynamic notch, I wouldn't think would have that much of an effect, but whatever. You can see it's still there, though, right? And it's in the same spot. It's in the exact same spot. Right? Max motor noise 221 on the clean log. Max motor noise 219. It's still there. The frame is still vibrating at those frequencies. Let's look at gyro scaled on pitch. This will be much hotter here. So here's the clean log. Here's the dirty log. Right? So they're still there. but boy, are they getting crushed. Really nice. Back to post filters. And so... Man, this looks pretty good here. That's still pretty low. We could probably ignore that. This is probably fine. At this point, like, I would want, if I was gonna put a notch filter on here, I would put a notch filter to hit this whole thing here. Right? Drop a notch filter on here to go from like 155 here all the way up to 240. And that would just hammer the hell out of this. And so at that point, what I would be doing is adding even more latency in order to get more PID gains. So at this point, you got to decide, what do you want? Do you want more PID gains at the sacrifice of latency? Or do you want to leave it alone and you've got less latency, but you can't get the PIDs up high enough? So if you fly this thing around and you're not happy with how it's handling prop wash, degain is one of the biggest things that eats prop wash. But latency does not help it fight prop wash. So what you would want to do at this point is leave it where it's at, fly it, see how it performs in prop wash, in the situations that you get when you're flying, right? Every one of us fly different. And then you come in, you put that notch filter on, you fly it again, and you see if it's better or worse. And then you crank the tune up. Actually, you might as well do that at the same time. You put the notch filter on there, and then you grab that Master Multiplier and you move it from 1.0 to like 1.4, let's say. And you see if you like it better with significantly more PID tune, significantly more PID gains, but a little bit more latency from extra filtering. That's how you do that. I think I'm going to leave it alone. This looks pretty good here. With that second dynamic notch, it really cleaned this up. I think these are kind of low enough where the tune feels fine. It's not prop washing. I'll take a little bit less latency. I think. It's hard. You know, try it both ways. At this point, try it both ways, because I tend to like more filtering because I already have a bunch of latency from the stick smoothing. And so I tend... Fuck it, let's do it. Let's put a big old notch filter on here to just absolutely demolish these two peaks, and then I'll crank the P and D gains way up. So yeah, we want the bottom to be 155, and then we want the top to be 240. 155 to 240. So come in here, determ notch. So the cutoff, which is the bottom, we want that to be 155. And then, what did I say? We want to swing it up to 140. I'm going to have to do a math. I'm going to have to do maths. 240. We want it to go up to 240. 240. So if I put the middle at 200, 155 is... it's perfect. 200. 155 is 45 down, and that's going to swing it up to 245, which is close enough, right? 245. Nah, it's a little too high. 245 is a little too high. I want it to hit 240, and so that means I want to move the center down to 195. That's going to be close enough. That'll be close enough. Okay, cool. So now we got that on there. At this point, I could probably turn off the second dynamic notch and just run one single... Let's do that. Let's do that. Just for the sake of this. Let's go to one dynamic notch. We'll save this. And then we'll see what that looks like. And then we can pick. Yeah. 155 to 155 to 240. Let me do this though. Let me pull the old log up and look at where that's going to hit. 155 to 240. 155, awesome. That's right at the beginning of this, right? Because we're going back to this. This is what we're going to be at in a second. 155 to 240. Rocking. Yep, it's going to hammer this. Sweet. This will be cool. This looks at the difference between how hard an additional dynamic notch filters versus a D-term notch filter. How about that? What do you think of that? I am not going to turn the PIDs up yet because right now we've got a really cool comparison of D-term notch filter versus dynamic notch filter. I'm going to leave everything the same. And I think you're going to see that little area there get blasted and really flatten out. I need to bug Brandon about how to look at response time because I want to do this again. Well, no, I have the logs. Cool. I have these logs. And so I'll get with Brandon, figure out how we look at response time, and then we can see the difference in response time between these two logs, and we can see, because what we're about to see is that this D-term notch filter is going to filter harder, but I think it's going to add more latency, and so we can compare that with response times. Hell yes. Let's go. I can't believe I just said that. Pretend I didn't just say let's go. Here we go. Black box is on. Okay. So cruising around, different throttle values. Cruising. Try not to hit anything. We're cruising. We're doing good. A couple more throttle blips. All right. Couple of flips and rolls and we're good. These flips and rolls are mainly for if you're going to tune the PIDs in black box. It's just a good habit to get in though. Awesome. Good log. And if you do that with every log, if you decide to go PID tune with this log, it's in there. You know what I mean? You've got like a really good black box log with cruising, with full throttle, with partial throttle, right roll, left roll, front flip, back flip, yaw left, yaw right. It is, I can tell that it is cleaner. I can tell that it is being filtered more. I can't feel any extra latency, but I'm not super sensitive to latency. Yo, here we go. Watch this. Sorry I didn't fly the 1.4-inch build, but I'm all hopped up on black box goofballs lately, and I'm hoping that you guys will come with me on the black box adventure. Activate mass storage device mode. Open it up. Pull it over. I've completely ignored the chat. Well, I lost the chat. Now it's back. It's copied. Cool. Unplug. Plug the quad back in to get it out of storage mode. Storage device mode. Black box. Erase flash. Yes. Erase data flash. Here. Get info. Unlock it. Close it. Name it something good. Air65 V2 clean -D term notch. You can see that, you can see what the filters are set up as in the black box log, but so I could just name it clean 2, but I won't. I'll put a little bit more. Clean -2 dynamic notches. All right. And unplug it so it doesn't get too hot. Black box log explorer. Gyro scaled, no, sorry, regular gyro post filters on pitch. Ready? This is looking pretty good, but watch this. Fucking blammo. That was not the right log we were looking at a second ago. Here it is with 2 dynamic notches. Here it is with the D-term notch filter. Ooh. Where did this come from? So you can see the intensity is lower. It is filtering harder here. Ooh. Where did this little guy come from? Again, these are all pretty low. This is a little high though. Like this is starting to get up there a little bit. This is I don't quite love how high this is. This is with the 2 dynamic notches, and here's with the D-term notch. So maybe both. Although I think that looks better with the D-term notch. Because this thing popped up out of nowhere. I don't know if maybe the dynamic notch was the second dynamic notch was moving around. Here's the dirty one with just 1 dynamic. It's kind of not there. I think I like this one better here. I wish I knew how to look at the response time. This might be it. This might be response time here. Let's see if it changes. 5.5, 5.8, 6.1, 6.5, 6.7, 7.3. So in the 5s to 7s, and then 17 to 23. This is with the notch filter, the D-term notch filter. Here's with the extra dynamic notch. Ooh, those numbers lower? They look lower, but they're not actually lower. 6, 7, and then 45 up to 60. I don't know. This might be wrong. I gotta ask Brandon to explain this more to me. But these numbers are lower, and I think he really quickly in passing told me that this is response time related. And so if this is, well, here, we can maybe figure it out. Here's the dirty one. Here's the dirty one with only 1 dynamic notch filter. 7, 9, 7, 23, 20, 19, 41. And then here's with the second dynamic notch filter added in. 6. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's less latency down here with the second dynamic notch filter added in. That's weird. So yeah, maybe this ain't it. But I think we're looking a little better with the D-term notch. This is with 2 dynamic notch filters. If we really wanted it to be super clean, we would do both. We would do the D-term notch and the dynamic notch and the second dynamic notch filter, and then we would have a combination of this and this. So basically the D-term notch filter that I added in was very targeted for these 2 peaks here, and so they would slam those peaks down even flatter, and then maybe that second dynamic notch filter was what was knocking this out. And so yeah, but then again, we're potentially adding a bunch more latency, which doesn't help that doesn't help with prop wash. But with, you know, the farther you squash these down, the higher you can push your PIDs. So yeah, interesting. 2 dynamic notches, 1 D-term notch. Huh. Hopefully you guys learned something. I'm not sure. I also, you know, that's right. I reduced the Q. That's the other thing that's happening here. This is with the Q factor reduced for the notches to be more narrow. That's where this came from. When the Q was 300, it was wider, and I bet you the dynamic notches were hitting up here. Pretty cool. Let's look at the difference in gyro scaled on pitch between the D-term notch and the 2 dynamic notches. This is D-term notch. Here comes dynamic notches. Ooh, interesting. The D-term notch did way better on the gyro, on the raw gyro data. Huh. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. We're learning together, friends. But this post filter is the most important. Getting this as flat as possible is the jam. I'm going to do both. I'm going to do one more log with both, and I'm going to push the shit out of the PIDs, and nah, I'm not. I don't know what I'm going to do. Doesn't matter. It's clean enough now. In the chat, I've completely ignored you all. I'm so sorry. Whoop Fox says, for 2.5, I've been using Ant camera, thinking on switching Runcam 3 or 4. What do you think? Oh boy. If you're flying outside, the Runcams don't seem to do all that great. The Ant camera's pretty good outside. I would maybe stick with it. Sporty says, ripped apart Mobula 8 on stream. Now I have baseline 2-inch pusher with ducts and O4 with lens, mod, and CNC kit. Very cool. Denzilla Turtle says, show Julio the ORT Micro V antenna. There it is. This is my favorite itty-bitty Tinywhoop antenna. I sell a very cool custom 46mm length on my Etsy store, linked on CiottiFPV.com, which is like the perfect length for Tinywhoops. Jimmy the Cow says he's right. I don't see the ORT Micro V antenna on the Etsy store. That would mean that it is completely sold out. There are more on the way. Sorry, friends. Sporty says, press I to start and O to end the log. Rest will be ignored. Awesome. Thank you, Sporty. I and O. So on this dirty file with all this garbage here, let's see if this garbage goes away when I click into here and hit I. There it is. So that big amount of garbage was because I smacked into it. Was something at the beginning of this, and then O for end. Cool. Thank you for that. That's wild. Yeah, that big hump there was because I smacked into the railing or whatever the hell it was. Very cool. I and O. I will not remember that. Created by Dub says, please try the new Air75 II Champion. I've never felt that amount of power on a Whoop. I think those motors are much higher than 28,000 kV. Watch yesterday's live stream. That's exactly what I did. Sporty says, what CiottiFPV really wanted to... Oh, God. And then Break Faded with the last comment of the live stream. He says, if you put unfiltered gyro and gyro scaled on the same graph, you can tell the delay difference by the width of the two lines compared to each other. Ah, right. Unfiltered and gyro scaled on the same graph. How the hell do you do that? Can I do that with like shift? So here's gyro scaled, and then here's post filters on the same graph. Oh wait, no, I would do it outside of here, right? I would. So I would do that here. So I would look at. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to need to zoom in. I think I can figure out how to do this. So hold on, let's get the clean. Here's the D-term notch one. So let's get this in here. And then let's just, it doesn't really matter. We can kind of pick anywhere, but let's pick like sort of just mid-throttle. And then I need to zoom. So we need to zoom like crazy. And then we need to up the amplitude. How do I up the amplitude? I think I maybe remove some of these. So remove. Oh, no, right. I can just look at specifically one. So let's look at pitch. Just that. Cool. Here we go. And so we're gonna look at red versus blue. So we're gonna look red versus blue. And I think, what's the keystroke? There's a. You can look at the exact time. I can just. It's in here. Shit, how do you do it? How do I increase the amplitude? Is it plus and minus? No. Brackets? No. Page up and page down? No. Oh shit! How do you? There's a. It's gonna be a keystroke. Option? Nope. Shift? Nope. Command? Nope. Sure, it's not shift. Damn it. You can like mark the top of one and then the top of the other. Shit sticks. Brandon showed me how to do it. I just don't remember. Man, they're pretty tight. I wonder if we can just see it. Hold on. They're pretty tight together. Ah, yeah. See, this is it. We got it right here. This is the perfect spot to see it, right? We've got the top of the red and then we've got the top of the green. Bang, bang. It's this distance right here. Oh, let's just count the clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 little clicks. 6 clicks. That's 2 dynamic notches. Here's D-term notch. Let's find another spot that's obvious and see if it's more or less than 6 clicks. We're doing this like proper caveman, just the way I like it. 6 clicks. Come on, give me a defined green peak. Give me a defined green peak, you bastard. Come on. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Defined green peak. Come on. There is a much better way of doing this, but for right now, yeah, we got it. We got it. We got it. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? 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 I'm going to count the notches. This is more than 6, I can tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Way more than 6 for me to get from this green peak, which is post-filtering, to pre-filtering, which is red. So it looks like the D-term notch, I think the D-term notch is adding a significant amount of extra latency, which would make a lot of sense because Brandon has always pushed me towards adding extra dynamic notches versus the D-term notch filters or the gyro notch filters or whatever. I could have totally been doing that wrong, for the record. Fair warning. But, yeah. There you go. I'm going to go back to the 2 dynamic notch filters because it was doing a good enough job. And it looks like that might have had less latency. I hope you learned something. I hope I learned something. We're learning by doing, friends. CiottiFPV.com to support me. Join my Patreon. It's the best way that you can keep this show on the road. And we'll keep testing stuff. I'll see you guys on Whoop Wednesday this week. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll do something fun. I have something in the on-deck circle. We are going to convert the 1.8-inch X14 build to a 2-inch analog build. And see how it is. Thanks for hanging, friends. Here comes a little bit more flying from this afternoon. Here is 65 at the the first battery. I told you I was going to play the first battery. Yep. First battery from the 1S 75 millimeter GEP-RC 1002 25,000 kV build. And this will probably end up rolling right into the second and third batteries. But we did this build yesterday. We tried the 3 different frames. It's in the Newbie Drone Lite AF75 frame. Goodbye!
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed.
schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shotties on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz fuel fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, yeah. Teddy's spaghetti, yeah. Diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends sing it loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.